And we are live. What is up, everybody? Another Thursday in quarantine, doing some social distancing. I'm Wesley Milata, as you all know.
I'm Andrew Glessner.
And I'm Michael Mowen.
Thought it would be kind of a cool little thing to do here tonight. Maybe watch the movie together and do a little joint commentary because we're bored. And also do a Q&A if anybody's in the chat and wants to talk to us.
Yeah, no reason not to, right?
So I don't know if anybody... I'm hoping that we have audio from you guys because that's a recurring issue whenever we do these things. If anybody is in the chat, could you tell us if you can hear Andrew and Mike?
Yeah, if you're definitely having any audio issues, please tell us as soon as possible. That way we know.
Not like that one night where it was like 20 minutes.
No, we're good. I just tested it. I can hear me.
Okay, cool. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Well, good. I think I'm about to land myself in Facebook jail for the first time ever.
What did you do?
So I saw a report earlier today where ICP, the Insane Clown Posse, had canceled the Gathering of the Juggalos.
Uh-huh.
And I made a post about it, and I was like, I might have suggested that the Gathering of the Juggalos is a white trash cesspool, but just rampant with drug use, unprotected sex, and Fago, and that if this is scaring them, maybe it's time to reassess the threat level, apparently referring to them as a white trash cesspool run amok with drug use, unprotected sex, and Fago was a violation of the community hate standards.
Interesting. We don't want to offend any ICP fans out there. We don't know how many of our viewers are ICP fans, Andrew.
Let's just assume some of them. And hey, if they've been to the Gathering, they know what I'm saying is 100% true. It's not even a... I don't think this was news to anybody, you know?
Yeah.
Are they a band?
They are a rap duo.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. They've been around, I don't know, 26 years. Mike, you've never heard the Insane Clown Posse?
Dude, no.
I might have an album or two from when I was like 10.
You sure do. It's a great Malenko. Everybody's got their great Malenko.
I realized because there's a thing going around on Facebook where people are tagging each other to post their top 10 most influential albums they own.
Sure.
I don't think I bought more than 3 albums in my life. And the last one I bought was like over 20 years ago, I think. So it's, I'm a talk radio guy, just...
So for some reason, my chat in the actual live player is not working, but I have to pull it up in a different tab. So that's kind of frustrating.
I was looking over. I saw Adam was saying, whoop, whoop. He's getting it.
Hey, Adam, how you doing, man? We'll wait to see if anybody else joins in here before we kick off the live commentary. Just kind of easing into everything.
Mike, to your point when you were talking about the albums, the top 10 most influential, they were doing that a couple of years back with films. Whereas every day you'd post 10 films, and I think Wes nominated me. So for 10 days straight, I posted 10 different pictures from the film Porky's.
Yes, you did.
I was like, man, if there's one that means the most to me.
Porky's. Nice.
Everybody's sitting there posting meaningful statuses about, like, why a film is so important to them, and then there's this asshole that just keeps posting Porky's pictures.
Look, I defy you to prove that Porky's was not important to me and helped shape my childhood.
Oh, hell. We're good.
Adam says he's about to hop on a call but stumbled upon this. I'll tune back in after. Did I say piss? I feel like I heard myself say piss. Cool album. Adam, is it a call about video stuff? I miss those. Hey, DJ Talk is in the house. How you doing, DJ?
What's up, man? And the long way home. How's it going, fellas?
Long way home. Hello. Hello, hello.
Mike looks like his mic fell. Boom Michael's having problems with his boom mic.
Uh-oh. Mike's having audio
I'm
problems.
readjusting real quick. I'm sorry.
There he is.
I
He's
was
still
late
there.
to the game.
Awesome. That's
I
fine.
really need to buy a webcam. Like, this is getting ridiculous. Oh, yeah.
So-
Oh, yeah. You guys are so much higher. Oh, yeah. There we go.
Perfect voice. By the way, I love the voiceover work you did for Adam's sketch. I don't know if you'll call it a sketch. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, that was a sketch.
Did you watch it, Andrew?
Him to ask
Yeah,
me
I did.
to.
Tub talk.
I painted a
Talk.
Talk.
Seriously, whenever the puppet like opened his mouth and looked down into the tub towards his crotch, I was in tears.
I think for a puppet, I don't think for a second that puppet can't get it. You know what I'm
Man,
saying?
whenever he pitched to me that the idea,
Uh-huh.
he was like, it was extremely like faith based, family friendly. No, I'm just kidding.
Came a
I
long
mean,
way.
it still was pretty. There was definitely
It's
some
great.
belief going on there. I don't think he changed that too much.
Certainly not a kid friendly. Well,
What is
kids
kid
can
friendly?
watch it.
You know, some kids can. That's true.
So I have my player open. Let me go ahead and get a OBS set up for that stuff in the background if you guys want to lead the way for a second.
Sure. While you're doing that, I want to talk with Mike. I like the picture he used for the advertisement. Of us
Yeah.
doing the night crawling.
Memory.
Because I guess we're not really going to get too far into that as far as watching the movie goes. But Mike and I had developed what I like to call an acting technique the first day of filming to get our fronts dirty that we just refer to as the night crawler, where we would just drop on the ground and just slide around a bit, just get loose, get real fun with it, and then just get our enfrentes all dirty.
It was good. It's the only way to do it when you don't have a dedicated hair makeup. Did we?
Yeah.
Did we?
No, not for that.
Not for that one.
I didn't want to misspeak.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we did. I think it was still us because we were rubbing coffee grounds on our face and shit.
Uh-oh.
See, if it would have been a bigger film, just imagine me and you surrounded by 3 to 4 hair and makeup people just getting us all dirty. We had to do it ourselves.
Man, this is a huge screen. I'm still resizing it.
Dude, you don't gotta play it at 4K.
I don't know any other way to play it.
I mean, do you need to see us talking about it while we're... Hopefully, we assume that everybody who has seen this so far has watched the movie.
Yeah.
So this would be just more of us commenting on,
DJ says, doing good. Just got done doing some administrative work for my new website. That's awesome, DJ. I didn't know you were launching a website. Let me know when you launch it. I would love to check it out.
It's not safe for work, so be careful.
NSFW.
So,
I think I have everything up on the screen. So, should we do this with sound? I don't know.
what do you guys think? You guys want to do it with sound? Anybody watching? Do you want to have the sound of the movie and us talking, or just us talking? Any opinions at all?
I figured, if we get to something we want to break down some, we could just pause it and then talk extensively. Otherwise, we would just kind of chat, talk about it a little
Sounds good to me.
bit.
Absolutely.
All right, but let's get started here, shall we? The first official live commentary we've ever done on this channel because of the quarantine. Seriously, I don't know how...
Award-winning.
For the
Killer Bee
award-winning Killer Bee Killed. Yeah, that's right. Took home 2 awards last night.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, sure.
You wanna...
If I feel weird saying anything about that stuff, but Killer Bee Killed won 2 awards last night at the First Take Short Series for Best Cinematography and Best Editing, and it was also nominated for Best Directing and technically Best Picture. Technically, all of the films were nominated for Best Picture, which was 24. We did not place in the top 3 for Best Picture, but we did win Best Editing and Best Cinematography. So, pretty cool. I had never once been nominated for anything cinematography-wise in my life, and not only getting nominated twice for Nefarious and Killer Be Killed, but winning it was pretty cool, because, I don't know, I like to shoot stuff.
Do you find it's easier for you just to shoot your own stuff? And are there very many directors out there, like A-list, big guys, that shoot their own stuff?
Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah?
He's really, like, the only one. And, actually, more recently, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Really?
Paul Thomas Anderson shot Phantom Thread himself.
Still haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so good. You gotta watch it. I think you would very much enjoy it.
It's weird how good it is, because
it's not a
you
subject.
Find yourself, yeah. At certain points in the film, you're like, "How is that? How am I still in this?"
Mm-hmm.
Day-Lewis, though.
But yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Old Daniel Day-Lewis doing his thing.
Yeah, when I saw the trailer for that, like, I'm a big Paul Thomas Anderson fan, but when I saw the trailer for that and learned about the subject of the movie, I was not interested. But I couldn't really turn down a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, so obviously I was going to see it. Hey, Max is in the house. How you doing, Max?
No, you do extremely good work on camera, man.
Oh, thank you.
Like, it's just like this. It's the stuff that puts you apart from other indie filmmakers. It's just like the simple movements. Like it seems simple. It's not simple to pull off necessarily. But you know what I mean? So subtle movements into a character, that stuff never happens in like other low budget stuff. So
yeah, one of the things that I want to focus more on, and like I kind of view like everything we did up until, well, technically, I would consider Killer Be Killed and Nefarious kind of part of like the rebirth of thinking art. But everything before those two films was kind of, I don't know, that was like pre-rebirth, you know? Like
version 1.0. Yeah.
Exactly, version 1.0, whereas Killer Be Killed Nefarious is kind of like the launch of the next step in our career trajectories. And basically, I want everything from Killer Be Killed and Nefarious on to just keep one-upping itself and keep getting better and better. And I've been talking... What's that?
I got a little something for you. We'll see. The boys got to put some ideas to paper, but I think what I'm cooking up is going to be really fun.
Pitching that idea to Mike today, and he seemed to really enjoy it.
Good.
We got so many ideas on the table.
So many ideas, but then like we can't shoot any of them because we're all in quarantine.
Well, no, and that's why this is the best time to get those ideas completely fleshed out, have them ready to go, pen to paper. That way, when we go back, we can hit the ground running if we want to.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be hard to do, but if we can take this time constructively, you know, I mean, we cannot waste it.
Plus, we can do all the pre-production work now while we don't have anything else to kind of take our attention away from it.
Yeah.
DJ
Absolutely.
says, Thinking Art Rebirth, good comic name. All right, so let's pop up the Killer Be Killed and let's get this live commentary started, and then we'll, if you guys have any questions about anything, we will all chime in and answer. But here goes the, I'll turn the volume like a quarter of the way. How's that?
That's fair.
All right, and pressing play. So the movie's starting. Can you guys see it?
I think we're lagging a little behind, so.
Yeah, probably will.
Right off the bat, I do want to say I love the new spinny logo.
Yeah, it was all Brian Schwenk.
It's so cool.
Brian did all that.
I enjoy it.
So this is actually kind of a cool thing to talk about here, this opening shot with Mike, Lauren, and Lily in the photograph. If we go back here, so this is actually a visual effects shot. There is no family portrait in that frame. There is just a completely empty frame, and we had green tracking dots there to insert the picture into later and then track it with the camera move. So we took the photo actually after we wrapped shooting this scene, and I don't know what happened to it, but the photo that was taken did not get transferred with the footage and therefore was lost forever. And for the longest time, it was just, an empty picture frame in my timeline, in my editing timeline. So whenever it was time to kind of, as we went along, I would send these shots to Brian as I kind of picture lock things, and he would start to take a look at it. He was like, hey, do you have the photo? Because it's not in the folder it's not in the folder that we downloaded the footage from that day. And it wasn't in mine either. So I was like, oh my god, are we really gonna have to get Mike, Lily, and Lauren all together for just a damn family photo? And I was like, well, is there any way that we could just maybe Photoshop all three of them together into the same photo? And very last minute, I was like, well, I know Mark Klein, our still photographer, was there. Let me reach out to him to see if he was taking any photos at the same time that we were getting these photos. And luckily for us, Mark Klein snapped this picture, which was not the actual picture that was meant to be in the frame, but he was an actual lifesaver just taking a photo. Who would have thought?
Old Marky Klein. For the win, baby.
DJ asks, whose kid did you borrowed? And that is not a borrowed kid, that is a kidnapped kid. No, that's a bad joke. That is actually Lily Marie Mullins, who is a daughter of a friend of ours. This was her first time acting. Hopefully you thought she did a lovely performance, because I think she should continue pursuing acting.
I think she did a really good job. She had a solid acting coach to help her through her scenes initially.
Which was Andrew.
We don't have to name it, I don't want to put names there, but I spent the better part of an afternoon one time just helping her with her lines and everything, working through it with her, see if we could get her going. So, and I think it turned out pretty well. I was very happy to see her in this film.
Did great, especially for her first time ever acting or doing anything like it. She had all of her lines memorized. She took direction really well, so it was really cool working with her. It was the first time I ever worked with a kid, too, so we can talk about that a little bit more here as well. But, so we did this slider shot that pulled into the reveal of Mike walking down these stairs.
No.
Extra underwear?
Come on.
We had a small discussion about that extra underwear, if the audience would read too much into Mike's character just shitting his pants.
I don't think you can ever read too much into someone shitting them pants all the time.
Ryan Osborne is in the chat. What is up, Ryan? Ryan says, it was a great documentary. I can't believe stuff like this is still going on in America in 2020.
All
right.
It's sad but true, man.
So those light flares are VFX. I don't know if you saw those there. That was all stuff Brian did in post.
You know what the issue we're running into right now is you're ahead of the game, and we're watching the live stream watching it. So
you just have to... I can maybe refer to the live stream.
That'd be easier if you could.
It'll get a little weird, but let's try it.
Well, but that'll get us on actual time.
Yeah.
Be good.
So, coming up here, Mike's gonna leave the door. He's gonna slam the door. Boom. So we smash cut to this shot that kind of pulls around his hands and up to the bag. And
Is
funny
that-
story, that is not Mike tied to that tree. That is actually Andrew.
You do pick up shots any way you can.
That was a pickup shot filmed 3-4 months later.
Can I be
Something
honest
like
with you
that.
guys?
Yeah, what's up?
But
I had no idea.
You had no idea.
No
like,
idea.
you and I are very equally built where it matters.
No idea.
So that
Just a
first
couple
time
handsome-
you see Mike tied to a tree, that is not Mike. That is Andrew tied to the tree there.
How
Wearing
did you
your
get the clothes? Did I forget
You
how
gave
this...
them
You
to
gave
me.
them to
Did I?
Andrew.
One weekend.
Oh my god. I
'Cause-
must be losing my mind.
Andrew had to come down and we had to reshoot some of the running scenes up to that tree, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And because of everything kind of being so hectic that weekend that we initially shot, we didn't end up getting that opening shot. So you and I had talked about getting it at a later date, Mike, and I was like, hell, do you think we can just pull it off that Andrew could double for Mike that way to save Mike a trip down here? And we shot it and not 100% knowing if it would work, and we looked at it and we were like, I think no one would be, I don't think anybody would notice.
I've been looking at this movie how long? I forget
I
that
wanna
even
say-
happened.
The reason it worked is because I sucked in and I flexed my muscles.
Oh,
and
shit.
we look exactly the same when I do that, as it turns out. So
Yeah. I definitely need to live off the nuggets. Yeah.
don't you dare have kids. Dino Nuggets are life right now.
In the chat, Ryan asks, can you talk about some scenes that got cut out of the film? So actually, if we back up here, right here at this spot where the video will have to catch up, but right at the spot where the door slams and we do the smash cut to Mike tied up to the tree, there was actually a scene in between here that got cut. It was actually cutting to Mike in his car, kind of spacing out, almost wanting to not leave, kind of like that last little emotional moment before we cut into the game. And then it was going to cut to the game, and it was actually going to be the reverse of what the shot is now, where we go from the hands up to the sack. It was going to kind of do a match cut from pushing in on Mike while he was in the car, and then we were just going to match cut to pushing in on him tied to the tree, and we were going to circle around down to the hands. But we felt in post that it was a lot more kind of mysterious and it kind of like tone setting right away if we just smash cut to like nix that scene altogether with the car and smash cut to the hands and then go up to the face rather than face to the hands. DJ Talks asks, I'm just wondering, does your crew know what they got into? I do believe that everyone knew what they were getting into, DJ.
Yeah, definitely to an extent. We were quite aware of what this was going to be. It got harder than we thought it was going to be, but we definitely...
Yeah, it was definitely a lot more challenging than I thought things would be, but everybody knew that it was going to be challenging. So,
Except for that creek scene. That scene was going to be cake.
the big problem that we ran into was the inconsistent weather. Like, the first day was overcast and kind of cool. Second day was cold and it was raining all day, which was really the day that got really bad for everybody. And then the third day, it was hot and sunny. And then trying to kind of time everything together to make sure that it would look consistent, especially on that third day, because we couldn't just constantly shoot and have that footage match because everything else we had shot was pretty cloudy. So we had to kind of keep watching the clouds and wait for cloud coverage to be able to shoot on that third day. But going back to did the crew know what they were getting into, they definitely got really cold on the second day and they got wet, but we had ample shelter for everyone. Not only did we have a big canopy set up outside of the filming area, the set, but we also had a staging area, which was where we had all of our crafty. We had a bathroom. We had tables where people could get warm if they needed to. So that was actually a really nice perk of the area that we shot in, was having that second area that we could go to if we needed to get warm or if we needed to go to the bathroom or we needed to get food.
And there were definitely at least one moment where like, I need this more than anything right now.
Yeah. I don't know why your audio just like blew my ears out there.
Sorry, I don't know. Is it still loud? Incredibly loud?
It's not anymore.
Okay.
But we'll rewind here. So we talked about Mike being tied to the tree. And it is playing on my end, so I'll let the live stream catch up here. All of the drone shots, by the way, in this movie were filmed by Adam. Adam, you know, I realized whenever you said your last name in the Tub Talk video, the Tub Talk behind the scenes video, Herbert, is that how you say your last name? Because I always thought it was Rybar for some reason. And I apologize. So let me know how you pronounce your last name.
We were just killing it this entire time. Oh, what monsters we are.
Dark Mage 4 Productions is in the house. Hey man, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with us tonight. So this stuff was all pretty time consuming. Took up a lot of the shoot. Mike actually hurt himself a little bit on that being tied up like that, didn't you?
Yeah. It was whenever I was trying to get off of it, I didn't realize how. Well, I never had to get off of a tree before. And it was just like the entire not that I have pecs, but you know, pectoral region to my shoulders felt like they were tearing as I was trying to pull off of the tree.
What? You could fit your arms around.
Yeah.
We were like, just find a tree.
Yeah.
And the one thing you never really think about or realize until you do it, how weirdly exhausting it is to have your hands tied behind your back for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Like I want to say I think Blind Circumstance was the worst because they were back all the way and then I was on my knees on the concrete floor. And I mean, that was just hard to just even get through the scene. It was so uncomfortable because it's like your breathing was weird, you're stretching awkwardly, your shoulders get sore. Like, it's strange, and you don't think about it.
Yeah, that was, I mean, thinking back, I mean, that was probably, if I was in any pain during the shoot, that was probably it, tied to the tree.
Yeah. I apologize.
It
Dark
was
Mage,
my idea.
This is true. Dark Mage says, I'm doing great. Nice to see y'all. Yeah, it's nice to see you too, man. I absolutely love this short. I think one of the closest no-budget, non-AA movie I've ever seen close to an AA movie. Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's hopefully we can get this out there and kind of let this be a representation of what we can do without any kind of funds whatsoever. Because, like, going back to talking about that Thinking Art 2.0, is we want to start doing bigger things, and with that we want to start having a little bit of a budget to kind of be able to pull things off a little easier than than we previously could without a budget. Ryan Osborne says, "What's an AA movie?" I believe it's an action-adventure movie.
I was going to say it's an actual movie.
It's an actual movie.
It's not an indie. It's an actual. It's a Hollywood produced film. A big budget movie is normally what they...
Yeah.
Or AAA. I don't know, whatever. It's the A's. This is an Alcoholics Anonymous movie. Which is funny because we unintentionally made one of those.
That wasn't unintentional. So this shot of Sean running through the woods and launching himself onto the ground is our actual first big stunt of the movie. And if you watch him running here, there's actually a crash mat underneath that pile of leaves for him to fall on, so he's not actually just hitting solid ground.
I'd like to think of this as the first big flub of the movie as well, because there was supposed to be a bear trap.
There was supposed to be a bear trap. Also, if we were to talk about little flubs, this is kind of a minor one. A little continuity issue that I'm going to point out here of my own movie. When Sean... I'll let the stream catch back up. When Sean rolls over here, right? His glasses got launched off his face. He has no glasses on there. But in the subsequent shots of him getting whacked, he has his glasses on.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't even think I noticed his glasses flying, so I think I got lost in the kerfuffle.
So actually, we spent probably a good 10 minutes searching for his glasses after one take, because they were lost in those leaves. And I'm going to rewind here a little bit. Most of these shots of Andrew running through the forest were reshoots that we got on that same day that Andrew was tied to the tree as Mike. And
that was...
What's that?
What, mid-August, I believe?
Yeah. This shot right here, where it cuts to both of them... This shot right here, that's a visual effects shot as well. And neither of them are actually in that frame together. So let me go ahead and pause it right there so I can talk about that. This shot right here. You don't remember that?
I remember that we did that shot.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, sure, I remember.
It took me a while. I forgot, because it was a safety thing, right?
Yeah. So this shot right here where Andrew and Mike are basically in the same frame, Andrew's whipping a real machete at that tree. And we didn't want Mike... we didn't want a real machete being swung anywhere near a person. And so basically what we did is we locked the... Ryan's got to go. Have a good night, Ryan. Thanks for stopping in.
See you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Basically what we did is we locked the camera off on a tripod, and we shot Mike being tied to the tree. Andrew was not in the frame whatsoever. And Mike got loose from the tree, got out of frame, and then we had Andrew get in the position without cutting the camera, still kept recording. Andrew then ran at the camera and then swung the machete into the tree and then ran out. And basically, we took the two, you can call them frames, if you will, of each scene and masked them together at the tree. So you can't see it, but there is a very hidden line on that tree that masks the two shots together. And then to make that seamless, you just keyframe the motion. So if you didn't keyframe the motion, then you might catch Mike's arm in your shot. If that makes sense.
I can't wait for a visual
So you got to go frame by
breakdown.
frame and then make sure that Mike's arm isn't in your shot at all. Dark Mage says the masking is perfect. Yes, Brian Schwenk was our visual effects artist, and he did a great job with all of the masking and stuff in this movie.
He is a genius masterpiece worker. And we're going to talk about my favorite thing that he did later, but yeah.
In this movie or something else?
This movie.
Oh, right here's another visual effects shot. Speaking of visual effects shots done by Brian. Sorry. Right here, after the chase starts, the lightning in the clouds. That is another visual effects shot.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Andrew's just watching
Nice.
the movie for the first time right now.
I'm not even sure how this ends, to be honest with you.
So, and actually, going back to what Ryan was asking about earlier about deleted scenes, there's actually a deleted chase scene right here. There was a longer chase sequence of you and Andrew and Mike running through the woods before it started raining. But it was ultimately cut due to pacing that we had too much running.
There's a lot.
It
We
was a
ran
lot.
a shitload in this movie.
Basically, and also it was also cut because it included that bear trap thing that we were talking about earlier. So
yeah.
they were running through the forest in like the, for lack of a better word, let's call it the brown woods, because it's very there's brown leaves all over the ground. They're running through that area, and then Mike falls down close to a bear trap, and then gets up, and then Andrew swings his machete, and it hits like close to where Mike lands, and then Andrew exits frame, and then it's that drone shot. But none of that really worked out continuity-wise with the weather. It just seemed weird. The cutting of that didn't work together, and ultimately that running combined with the running of this scene was just way too much running. So that scene got totally scrapped, and the edit was as is, with the machete hitting the tree, Mike taking off, Andrew taking off, cutting to that drone shot, and then back down where it's kind of raining. It was raining when we were filming this, but you can't really tell it's raining on camera, which is a little frustrating, but what can you do?
Yeah.
Just deal with it.
So, these chasing shots, how did you guys like doing these? Because, like I said, you can't tell that it's raining here, but it was actually raining, and it was very cold while you guys were doing this.
Running to me always sucks. I mean, I played so all my life, but I was the goalkeeper, so I always just had to do sprints, and that was it. But like, we ran how many hours that day?
Oh, I don't even know. So many. We spent so much time running in this film. Like it.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, it really depended upon which scene we were doing, depending on how fast we were running. Because this, I think we're running at what, like half clip, like kind of half speed. But then there are certain parts where a lot of stuff that we didn't even end up using, where it's just like, I need you to run full bore as hard as you can. I'm like, okay. And a lot of that was when we were doing the reshoots in August, so it was muggy.
Yep.
It was like 90 couple degrees outside. And I probably ran for several hours there, and I am not the kind of guy who's built to run several hours. There was a point where I just kind of like keeled over, and I was just like, dude, I need a second. I'm going to pass out. I do not feel well right now.
Part of the challenging thing about these running shots is you got to make it look real and energetic, right? However, the camera can't move at a certain speed, or else your footage is going to look like jello. So part of the challenging thing for me as the guy shooting it was, what can I do to kind of match your energy while still getting clear footage? So it was a lot of me kind of going in small lines, kind of, while you guys took off. And I would just kind of follow you guys until you cleared frame.
Yes.
Dark Mage
Yes.
says, I hate running. When I did my found footage, I ran about 20, maybe 25 feet, and I was winded. Yeah, that's me too. I can't run very much either. There were a couple shots, like the shots later in the film where Jack and Mike are chasing each other. Then I thought it was appropriate for, to just take off running with the camera, and I'm glad I did because I really love the energy there because it's more, I guess, life or death since Jack has a rifle.
Yeah.
So that I was okay with just making it as like fucking hectic as possible with just like having that camera kind of Blair Witch all over the place, for lack of a better word.
He said he wondered how you could keep up with the run. He could keep up with me running. It's Jack, the animal, Jack.
Yeah, Jack was pretty in shape.
Watching him run through the woods, I was just like, no.
There are two very physically fit, very well built, very strength trained, conditioned people in this film, and then there's Mike and I.
So actually, talking about that point, Mike was so concerned the entire time we were making this movie that people would not find it believable because of basically your body sizes, I guess. And I was like, I kept reassuring him that, I would hope that anybody watching this has seen the movie and isn't going to be spoiled here, but Mike doesn't survive. He doesn't win, so it's not like it's not like he strangles him, like physically overpowers the guy that's stronger than him, And I just kept kind of... And then he was also losing the battle with your character until he used the rock. So I was kind of... I kind of had to keep telling him that I thought like everything makes sense and that no one would see that as like a plot hole or anything like that.
Sure, but also, Mike, you got to keep in mind these guys are fit, but we've got the big man strength, dude.
That's actually what Jack said.
I can't even imagine what kind of fucking muscles are just hiding under this layer of gravy I've got.
That's actually what Jack said because
I can feel them
and stuff, like moving him around and stuff. He was like, man, if you just, what do you say? If you just cut down on the carbs and just work out a little bit, you'd be shredded. And I'm like, yeah, I just like my nuggets and my bread, man. It's like, what do you, it's
nuggets and bread are hard
Jack,
to,
here's the thing. I'll do none of that bullshit,
I forget his exact words, but it was hilarious. Like we were walking back at the end of the day and he was like, no, you have good strength, really good strength. You just need to, change a couple things. I'm like, yeah, I know.
No, not for.
Aren't we all trying to change a couple things?
I'm actually going low carb here for a while, so we'll see how this goes. Other than I'm still drinking them, so I don't know how much this is going to help, but
at least
I'm not drinking so much.
At least you're cutting out the carbs in your eating diet. At least,
Just
so it's not like
whatever you do,
you're doubling your carbs then.
Correct.
Whatever you do, don't do the keto no carb bread, like the stuff made out of almond flour. That is the most disgusting tasting shit I've ever had.
I'm not doing that. I'm not worried. I just, I go bunless on shit. Do wrap ups, so I'll be fine with that. I'm definitely going to crave carbs because I think we were doing it pretty hardcore for about 2 days, and I was like, I just want some fucking cake.
I saw
like a 2-day break. Yeah, we took like a 2-day break just because we had a lot of carb stuff in the house, and we went shopping because we're only going shopping once a week to kind of plan for everything. And we didn't plan for going on a diet. So we're like, let's wait till we get a light carb menu, and then we'll do it. So we're still in the cheat period, then we're going right back in. But this is why I'm having some beer tonight.
So Dark Mage asks, the underwater part, how did you keep continuity when being underwater dead? So we can talk about that here if you guys want, if you want to jump ahead to that.
Yeah.
Sure. Hey, I don't really think there's much else to talk about as far as the chase scenes, right?
No.
Let's get to the hardest day of our lives.
Yeah, so this fight, What do you think it was? 6.5 hours to film the fight scene?
It was a huge chunk of the day.
Yeah.
And the thing that you can't tell, it was maybe 50 degrees outside, maybe. And that water, I want to say, couldn't have been more than 45 degrees.
Cold. Very cold.
I don't, obviously it wasn't freezing because it's not frozen, but it was so frigid. Like, it was terrible. You hit it, you were like, ooh,
Yep.
you knew. Like, to the point to where when in between takes, Mike and I were just sitting in it, like, making ourselves miserable because, like, at least this way we might get used to it.
I was sitting in it too, thank you.
You were. I'm sorry,
You
Andy.
had those big old
hip waders.
That was that big old condom.
I was wearing fishing waders to basically kind of try to keep myself dry. And I had the camera wrapped in trash bags to kind of, because I knew water was going to be flying all over the place to kind of keep it dry because we didn't want to ruin the camera. But
Dude looked like he was flying for trout, just.
At one point, I leaned too far back and the water just poured into my fishing waders, and it just became basically like a creek in there because once it gets in there, it has no way to escape unless you go try to, like, dump it out. But
a little teapot it.
Not fun. So this whole fight scene took a very long time because we did shoot this movie single camera. So every time you see a cut, that's a new shot, a new take. We had to physically move the camera each of these times to get the coverage that you're seeing, which is not a very efficient way to shoot an action scene, but it's what we had to do with no budget.
Yeah, and then the cuts to the underwater while we're trying to drown each other, those were a GoPro, correct?
Yes, the actual underwater shots that you see where the camera physically goes underwater, those are filmed on I think a GoPro 7. The GoPro Hero 7. And the reason we shot this on a GoPro is because we had initially talked about doing the like renting an underwater housing and actually submerging the 5D underwater, but basically the reviews that we were reading were like, oh, it leaked a little and wasn't my camera, and I wasn't comfortable with even asking somebody else if they were comfortable with doing that. So ultimately I was like, a GoPro, you can submerge it for like 300 feet or something crazy like that. And I was like, let's just use that.
Oh, yeah.
It shoots log. It shoots, I think, like 4.6K. The only thing I was worried about was at points it gets a little too wide and it starts to look like fish eye. And so I just needed to kind of review the footage kind of after each take and make sure it wasn't kind of getting that ultra wide perspective, which for the most part none of it did. It all turned out pretty good.
Fun fact here, how you have it paused, if you pay close attention, you can notice that I am wearing both knee and elbow pads.
Is this the first time you noticed that?
No, I'm saying to the audience, to the viewers.
I mean, is this the first time you've noticed? Or did you notice before?
I didn't really take time to notice. I thought it's pretty well hidden in action.
Yeah.
But with it being paused right there with my knee out and my bow out, I was like, yeah.
You're wearing a soaked white shirt, so that shows up pretty easily on paused frames.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, though. If you're watching it full up, you really, unless you're looking for it, you can't tell. But yeah, I took precautions. I was like, I'm not trying to bang my shit on a rock in here.
Oh, yeah. When Mike was doing these shots,
rubbing his face
underwater, there's a couple shots where you see his head smack off the rocks. He would come up and he would have big welts on his forehead, and we're like, Mike, you gotta stop going so hard. And he was like, I gotta make it believable.
And again, too, it's super important to note when we did these shots, him and I had an agreement that it's like we had our hands on each other. We were making it look good, but we were not doing any leading. The person being submerged was the one leading everything. I was not pushing him. Mike was headbutting the fucking rock bed.
Yeah, I don't know. In my defense, it wasn't that deep.
It was pretty shallow. But it was deep enough that it took us a long spot to find a place where you could actually put your whole head in.
Well, especially
didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We made a mini dam.
Yeah, we had to block it off and then
a little bit more of a pull. Back to the question at hand about me. Is right the underwater part? How did you keep continuity when being underwater dead? A lot of cuts, honestly. For those, like each kind of different scene you see of us underwater was a different cut.
Yeah. I think you guys could only hold your breath. I don't know the exact number, but like each shot was only like 10 to 20 seconds long before you guys had to come out. And then we would give you guys like 5 minutes to kind of get your breath back and everything, and then do another take.
And again, the big difficulty of that too is we're flailing around, but the water was just so cold it almost took any breath you had away the second your head went under. Like, and it was a fight to just stay under there.
Yeah.
Because it hurt.
I will say, I'm really glad that the GoPro recorded sound.
Yes.
Because whenever I first saw the rough cut to do audio post, like the screaming underwater, the underwater sound, man.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. That shot.
Fake any of it.
Let me find it here. But that shot where you go under and you did that scream where it's like, blah, that sound is so good.
Yeah, I think for that I just took off a little bit. I forget what I have to look back through my session.
Took off the low end?
Yeah.
Yeah, but these were very, very challenging scenes to shoot, and we do not recommend doing this unless you're trained professionals like us.
Yeah, and definitely make sure, that you guys are ready to do this before you do it, because it's a lot harder than you think it's going to be.
Mm.
I'll never forget saying, no, fight in the creek, man.
Oh yeah, the creek scene was entirely Mike's idea. It
Well,
was not in the original script.
Under ideal filming conditions, great idea. And if we're shooting mid-June, it's beautiful outside, we got a nice creek bed we're working with, awesome. It would have been so much easier, so much better. This scene, man, the opening my eyes and just keeping
this
them
was
open.
if you want to talk about that a little bit here, let me go back and pause that.
I do, because it really is my moment. You know what I mean? It's really a bit of a maniac the whole way through, but I'm sitting there underwater. I'm like, okay, this is the you dying and go. I'm thinking, like, what can I do to make this interesting? What can I do to add to that shot? This is like, make sure you blow all of the air out. That way it stops. And then no matter what, hold long enough to get a good shot of no bubbles and your eyes open. And I just stared up at the sky and it hurt. And I'm just like, just keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't worry about it. It's going to look great. This is going to look good. Just try it. Just go, go, go.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Mage is saying for the continuity. Honestly, what we did is I just kind of sat up in the water in between takes. Wes was just right there. He stayed prone.
Yep.
So I'd get up, I'd take a deep breath, psych myself out, and just go back under and just stay there. And just hold and not move. Just do as much as I can to look like that dead piece of shit right there. But I think that's also, I think it worked so well.
In terms of like making sure we kept continuity, everything in the fight scenes was shot in sequential order. So basically, we started with the very first shot and we ended with the last shot, and we didn't go out of that order, so we could kind of make sure we kept that continuity. So, for instance, when we were doing the drowning stuff, we just kind of sat there, made sure we got that shot completely before moving on to the next shot in the scene.
Pop up, squirt a little bit more like rock blood on my head, and then hop back in. That's really good. And just saying, fuck how I'm feeling, just go with it.
I remember like that was the moment. I think I said this before in the last live stream. That was the moment that like I got so jazzed up about. Because I know we weren't even shooting your coverage whenever you did it the first time, I thought. Because I remember getting all excited and I was like, oh my God, Wes missed this. But then I was like, no, he's going to get his coverage.
Yeah, well, it's like I once I did it once, I was like, okay, it's going to suck, but I'll do it as many times as I need to.
Yeah.
But that was really just the big thing, was just keeping your eyes open, you know, which hurt.
Continue playing the movie here. By the way, Adrian, I'm going to butcher his last name before, and he even told me how to pronounce it. Gougy. Adrian Gougy did the soundtrack for this movie, and he did an amazing job on the score for this film. And I love these little flashback interludes that kind of bring back the theme that he wrote for the movie.
More shots of Lily there, and the always lovely, always talented Laura Lavera.
So funny, this drone shot coming up. Once we see it, there it is. Another visual effects shot by Brian Schwenk. He added the sun rays coming in through the clouds, which is another cool effect that he did.
Were those drone shots shot where we did production?
Yep. It was.
It seems so much larger than.
What's that?
Like the space, like the park, seems so much bigger than what
it's a huge park.
No kidding. I thought it was like a small. I thought it was like the same size as like Renfrew here, and you know.
No, it's big.
No. When we were filming, it was just two kind of small parts.
Yeah.
Three, but
I don't know.
Dark Mage says, honestly, even though it's 11 minutes, it felt a lot longer. I never even noticed the time because of how immersed I was into it. I didn't feel like it was too short either. That's good. I'm glad it didn't feel long or too short. We were kind of worried about like making something over 10 minutes because we're not sure how people's attention span is going to
I don't know if I can trust you.
react. We don't know if people are going to watch the whole thing or not, but we thought this story deserved a little bit longer than 10 minutes, so ultimately 16 was what we settled on.
She's just a baby.
But yeah, the pacing was something that, I worked on really hard and for a long time, because like I said earlier, going back to how there was another chase scene, there was another what is so funny?
that long, hard pacing. I'm a child is what's funny about it. I'm sorry.
The pacing is something I worked really hard on. Like I said, I cut out a full scene of Andrew and Mike running. We cut out that scene with the garage. Just trying to make this thing be as like go, go, go as we possibly could. As much as we possibly could. This scene with Buddy and Mike was actually a reshot scene. We originally shot this scene after the creek scene within, maybe 2 hours?
Yeah.
Too quick. And it just didn't have the suspense that we needed to kind of set up the climax of the movie. We missed a bunch of coverage. And then also because everything we filmed on day 3 was super sunny, the scene with Buddy and Mike did not make sense because not only was it still like rainy and wet, but it got super foggy. So there's just a layer of dense fog everywhere in the forest. It looked really cool, but continuity-wise, with the rest of the film that we shot and got like really good results on, it did not match at all. So unfortunately, we had to reshoot this entire scene.
She's just a baby.
Dark Mage asks, would you ever adventure into found footage, even if it's not for a film fest? So, funny story. I actually wrote I don't want to necessarily call it found footage, because it kind of interweaves the two. It's kind of like part a cinematic narrative, kind of as we know film, the medium of film, and then it's also kind of part found footage. Basically, it's I don't want to get into spoilers here because I want to keep it open and a surprise for when people actually see it, if we end up shooting it. But it's basically a horror film that is about two vloggers vlogging their adventures through an abandoned place where something sinister is happening. So I'll leave it at that, but we've been talking about maybe doing that one for Halloween this year as one of the 2 short scares. Continue here. Mike, your big scene with Buddy. Oh yeah, Buddy never got back to me. I asked him if he wanted to hop on here.
Some kind of game.
Buddy.
Or for being hunted.
Which, honestly, I'm glad that we reshot this scene, because I thought you two did a much better job, that you weren't tired and wet and cold. And
Yeah, we could take our time and, get all the beats down and stuff.
could play with it a little bit more, too.
Yeah. More rolling around the ground, man.
Yeah, you guys were launching yourself onto the ground again here.
Yeah, I loved all the pelvic thrusting initially that was in this scene. This guy's just painfully humping air.
So the voice coming in here on the speakers is Mr. Thomas Crognally from Marbletown, if you guys have seen that one.
So good.
Old Frank himself. Love him.
He's got such a good voice. I don't know the words to describe it, but
Scandalous.
Work together in any fashion. Your families will be tortured.
It's like velvet with a little bit of cigar smoke and a dab of whipped cream, baby.
so these shots actually where the speaker is in the tree, that's actually a visual effects shot too. There is physically a speaker on the tree, but it's bungee corded around there. So Brian painted out all the bungee cords and then had to track that with the camera movement. So a lot more visual effects shots in this movie than you actually think there is.
This was another scene that I was a little worried about audio-wise.
Let's not do anything
Yeah.
rash.
What about it?
You heard him.
Because of the sound effect that brings these two guys to their knees.
Oh, right, yeah. That
I
was a
remember
tough
thinking
one.
a
I
lot
remember,
about that, man.
Well, yeah, because it's got to be one of those ones that you're selling the sound enough that it's believable that it would bother them, but it can't be so bad that it's hurting everybody watching it.
Exactly, yeah.
I think
This
the first cut I gave you, it hurt me.
Yeah. We went back and forth on this sound a little bit, I remember. But finally, I thought you nailed it.
Yeah, the first round was like I put this high pitched wail that just pissed me off. Like you know how certain frequencies can like affect you mentally. And I remember sitting there at my computer, I'm just like, I'm just pissed. And I was like, Christ, I don't want the audience to be like that.
I was actually a little bit worried about it as well, because I wasn't sure if it would be too loud and still bother the audience. But I thought I was pretty confident after listening to it in headphones and on my computer and on my TV that if it were played in like a theatrical setting, it would be okay.
Yeah.
The rules, no working together. Every man for himself. survivor.
Tom's voice so good.
It's the back of his head.
Work together any
That's
Fierce.
actually, I wanted that character to just remain faceless.
Notice him. Yeah, it's perfect.
Mark
Just a faceless enemy.
and your daughter is Lily. James, your lovely wife is Jennifer. And your newborn daughter, Carla. There aren't even
So originally, actually, in that scene, he was supposed to be kind of silhouetted, but we ended up nixing that idea and just going with like kind of like an overhead light and him being the only thing lit in it.
Let's not do anything rash.
This was a hard scene, tension-wise, to get down, and it actually took a lot of back and forth with Adrian, our music composer, to finally hit, I thought, like, the right beats.
We can both get home to our families. Only one of us can go. Take it easy.
Both walking towards that knife in the middle.
Just inching. By the way, I love that both of these guys are grossly underprepared for wood battle, both wearing hiking boots.
And then there's the BAM. This is what starts the last little bit of the movie here. And it kind of just doesn't stop.
That worked, man. Yeah, so many people have told me. That's
Well, and the
surprising.
cool thing is, that shot in the head, totally a practical effect. We just killed Buddy.
Which is why he's not on the live stream tonight, actually.
He's down. Jack was a guy that we, auditioned via a video, and Wes and I were going through and just picking people out, and I was like, I like this guy. It's like we like the look of him. We're like, let's give him a shot, and it turned out super well. I was very happy with
Great
with Jack
actor,
as a choice.
super nice guy.
Oh yeah.
He was super on board with doing all of his own stunts, and him and Mike went full bore at each other at the end of this movie. We'll get into that a little bit later here too.
Look at Adam coming back saying, "Who did those running shots?" You already know. Was it him? Was it Adam?
Adam did not actually do these running shots, but he did do a good bit of our running shots.
Well, I know he did a lot when I was running initially.
Yeah.
He had like that drone camera and was when that Ronin was working.
That Ronin really annoyed me.
Yeah, that was bullshit. We'll get one of those to work eventually. But it seems like every time we get one, they work for about 25 minutes.
I mean, mine works fine. I have one.
Who did
Oh,
these
that's
running
one.
shots?
What's that?
Adam asked, who did these running
So Adam's actually in the chat now. Let's settle this once and for all. Adam, how do you say your last name?
Because we've all been saying, like, Hrybar,
Yeah.
like it's spelled.
And
Because we
then
grew up phonetically.
I realized in your tub talk behind the scenes, you said it way different than how we've all been pronouncing it for forever. So, yeah, I feel like an idiot now.
Adam Rebar, okay.
Rebar? So the H is silent. R-E-B-A. Okay.
Because I like saying it like it was a high bar to cross, A Hrybar.
So the way I'm pronouncing this, Adam, is like Wes Scantlin.
Oh man, has anyone checked in on him? Has he killed himself? Because that, holy shit. What a brutal beatdown to take.
I like how the what channel was that?
It's serious.
Sirius made that video unlisted, but if you have the link, you can still just watch it.
Oh, I still do. I have it. I give it to everybody. Spun around like that Ring video,
You know how I was so upset with the Q&A, my performance in the last Q&A for the festival.
Oh yeah, Mike was going on about how he wouldn't even watch the Q&A last night because he thought he did such a piss poor job.
But then I remembered about that certain performance on, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's not that.
Mike, I thought you were just very to the point in the Q&A last night. I don't think you were bad. I just
You don't
think
think
you were
about the clothes? You kidding me?
The thing
clothes?
about the clothes.
In my head, I was like, yeah, it's just like putting on a different pair of clothes. It's like one time I'm a sound guy. Put on another pair of clothes, I'm an actor. And it just came out like Adrian.
I bought it. It's fine. The thing that made me laugh though is I was messaging Wes. I'm like, bro, every time you move, your background eats you.
What was it?
I was like, so stop trying to move so much.
I mean, it was because I had the Killer Be Killed poster on.
Yeah.
And
yeah, no, I get it.
It's trying to like key it, but it has no idea what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, these running shots were me, and they were not fun because I am not as in good of shape as Adam is. Adam asks what you do for the bullet hits on the ground. So it's actually a combination of... So it's a combination of practical shots that Brian and I filmed and visual effects elements that he put together himself. So basically... him and I went into the woods one day and threw like rocks and bark and stuff at the ground and filmed that. And then he took the results and kind of composited it together with some bullet hits that he had. And he kind of mashed all those things together to make the explosion.
What y'all should have done is just buried some black cat firecrackers in the ground and just...
If we had them.
Well, you can get them. I know a guy. No, a firecracker guy.
You know a firecracker guy?
Firecracker Jim, goddammit. Yeah. Yes.
So going back here, this is another awesome drone shot that Adam got. And I'd like to tell everybody this shot is actually just a close-up of broccoli.
Oh.
One thing that I was a little worried about here in this next scene was, like, you're kind of taught in film, like, movies should follow one perspective. You should keep it with the protagonist. But one of the things that I thought kind of elevated the tension within the final sequence was breaking away from that tradition and cutting to the antagonist's point of view for this, because we know that your character, Mike, is out there hiding somewhere. We just don't know where. But he's also part of this game, and he's worried too. So I thought that cutting to somebody else's perspective really amplified the tension, especially setting up the next part of the scene where we cut to you just physically exhausted behind that tree. Like, you can't run anymore. You're done running. And then we see him coming in from the background, and we hear your character hearing the sounds and then starts to react to them.
Well, and the funny thing, too, about it is, like, you went to the champion. This is nobody knows that yet.
This is true. No
Granted, the story's not about him, but...
Yeah.
It's about Michael. It's about Boom Michael.
Dark Mage says, I like that you did that, honestly, because I always wanted to know about the main character. Yeah, it's part of the what we want to do is, like, if we ever do get the chance to make the feature version of this, we want a lot more characters, but we also want basically the character that Mike tries to work with, Buddy. In the feature version, they do work together for a little while, but then ultimately that has to come to an end because there can only be one survivor. So Adam says, yeah, I felt the tension there, like not knowing where behind the tree he is. Yeah, I'm glad that worked, because that was something that I was worried about, because, like I said, like, some film students and stuff will just, like, beat you over the head with, like, the rules and stuff, and whenever you break them, that they're very harsh to criticize.
I want that film score.
Sometimes people are just all about the technicalities,
Adam asks, was there ever an ending considered where he didn't die? Mike, do you remember?
Nah, I was always worried about the realism. No, I'm just kidding. No,
You
I don't
live
know.
in the fucking real world, Adam. There it is.
I don't know if there was. Was there? I think
I
that
don't think so.
I think we settled on him dying pretty early on in the story talks.
Yeah, I can't. I don't remember ever saying we're gonna get a happy ending. Go home to his kid. No, I don't remember any of that. I mean, you saw in the comments, a lot of people said it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And it was perfect because that was absolutely what we were going for. So
Yeah, I love the comments too, where people were just like, well, I didn't really know a whole lot of what was going on. It's like, that's kind of by design though, because neither did we. As far as the characters involved, like, we just knew that we were here. And we're like, okay, this is what we're doing. And I think a lot of people from a storytelling perspective were kind of frustrated with it, but it's like, well, no, that builds into the narrative. It's like, we don't know what's going on, you guys. And that's kind of the point of this whole thing.
exactly. And also in terms of like this wasn't the reason we did this. It's more the reason that you just said, because it's putting yourself in the character's shoes. The characters don't know what's going on, so the audience shouldn't be privy to that information either, you know? But also...
Yeah, were you confused? Were you feeling tense? Were you sad? Good.
Yeah. But also in terms of like a marketing perspective, like we wanted this to be a kind of a piece of the pie, if you will.
Like a proof of concept.
Exactly. We wanted to give people a taste of what the overall thing would eventually kind of be, but we didn't want to give them, the full pie.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to have to explain everything and have answers to everything, because certain things are just better off left with mystery. For instance, like horror movies, a lot of horror movies, let's say specifically a lot of monster movies. Like, the monster movies are always scarier when you don't see what's lurking in the darkness, right? Once you see the monster, everything kind of just transforms into that third act where it's not as scary. It's mostly about like an adventure resolution, if you will. I don't know, just my thoughts there.
I agree.
Adam says, lights out. Yes, that's a good example. Dark Mage also says, honestly, a lot of people I've listened to on here who are in Hollywood has stated they dropped out of high school to pursue film. Now they produce AA movies in Hollywood. Yeah, for sure. And Dark Mage also says, yeah, I was always told to focus on the main character and don't show the monster. I think that's a good rule to live by, honestly, because it creates suspense and it keeps the audience's imagination kind of creating...
You don't see the shark. It's more terrifying.
So
Is that where
actually,
that idea...
it probably was that movie where the kind of like idea kind of, I don't want to say conceptualized, but it kind of started to become a trend, I guess. But that was actually accidental.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like, if they didn't have the problems with the sharks,
Yep.
they probably would have shown more of
Yeah. They were actually
It's a
supposed
good
to
figure.
really show a lot of sharks in that movie, but because of like malfunctions with the robotics and stuff like that and it not looking very real, they chose to shoot it in, very fragmented pieces, or only see the fin, or keep it not shown at all to create the tension, which probably a lot better movie than if we were to have seen the shark in the first minute.
I wonder if that idea, though, would have even been around if they got the shark to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Thank goodness that shark broke down, because...
Adam says, just watch David Lynch's Masterclass, and he talks about walking from the darkness. It's a great way to use shadows. Adam, are those masterclasses worth it? Because I've always wanted to watch Martin Scorsese's, but I never wanted to pay the money, or I think it's like $150 or something. Maybe I'm wrong about the price. Dark Mage says, I was really rooting for the main character here. That's good. I think a lot of people were, which means pulling the rug from out under them really worked.
Yeah, when I also think the fact that you're still rooting for him means we did our job.
Adam says he's doing Marty's next. I split it 3 ways with buddies. Oh, cool. Maybe I'll... hey, you guys want to split it?
Maybe. Because there's master classes on everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, jumping to this shot here, I rewound it a little bit, so it's kind of catching back up. So I'll wait a second here. Jumping to the finale here. Mike, you want to talk about a little bit about this?
The whole fight scene?
Yeah.
Choreographed on the fly.
Very quickly, too, because we were losing sun. And this was our
remember,
final shooting day, too. So if we didn't get it, we were screwed.
I remember I wasn't really that stressed. I was just ready to get it over with. And I was just like, I think that's why me and Jack went so hard. Because it's like, we only got one shot to do this stuff, so you better, sell it.
Yeah.
But thankfully... I mean, he kind of led the choreograph, didn't he? I mean, it was Matt Hacker.
Yeah, you guys and Matt Hacker were really working on this, and he was really making sure that kind of the beats of the fight were looking real. And I was trying to work out the logistics of making sure that there weren't any anything that could stab me or you guys on the ground, because we were all moving all over the place.
It was hectic because of course because of time, but I feel like it worked.
One of the things that I think is funny here is jumping backwards to the shot where you guys throw the rifle on the ground.
Yeah.
That rifle actually snaps in half when it hits the ground. So that rifle is R.I.P.
No big deal. It's like $120 replica size modeled rifle. Yeah, whatever.
Those
Guys,
punches look damn good, man.
They do.
Yeah, that's what Adam just said in
all the punches throughout this entire movie, the creek scene, everything. Like the punches look incredible.
Adam actually said the hits are so convincing, and then asked, did you do some speed ups or cut out some frames to speed them up and really sell it? So it's mostly just removing the frame right before contact. A couple here and there were speed ramped, but I tried not to speed ramp many of them. I think all of the ones in the final scene with Jack and Mike was just a frame taken out. But I'm not 100% positive about that.
I'll have to go back in the breakdown.
Yeah, I would have to go back and look at that.
So you want to talk about this stab?
Yeah.
The ongoing...
Yeah, actually, I don't think there were any speed ramps in the final cut of the final scene. I think it was just removing a frame right before contact. So, the knife stab here, we had originally conceptualized making some sort of device, or not device, but basically having Mike wear something that Jack could actually stab into, right? But we couldn't find a makeup person. We couldn't find anybody to kind of take that challenge on. And we had to shoot the film because, the day was coming up. So Brian and I, the visual effects artist, talked about doing this as a visual effects shot. The challenging part of that became trying to speed shoot through the climax because we were losing light and not getting to really talk about the visual effects in real time if there were any problems. So basically what we did was the knife that you're seeing right here in this freeze frame, there's only a quarter of a knife there. Basically, we took our prop knife and we just hacked the knife off kind of right past the handle and then put little green tracking dots to track in post. And then the knife was put in and then matched and then tracked to the handle. The difficult part of that became certain angles where the hand was shaking too much. The knife would kind of turn into jello as it was kind of moving through the air, depending on like if the camera angle. Let me just show you an example. This was originally supposed to be the shot where we see the knife go into Mike. But from this angle, the knife kind of moving around like it was not... It just looked like he was stabbing Jello. Because it was just kind of moving all over on his chest. Because, keep in mind, he was only holding a quarter of a knife, so when Mike is reacting to the knife going in him, it's still this far away from him. So ultimately, we kind of did when we were having the problems with the visual effects shot, we did a little bit of a re-edit and settled on the profile shot where you see both of them for the knife actually going in.
Saving Private Ryan shout out there.
And an homage to Saving Private Ryan, too. One of my favorite movies.
The old Upham.
Upham.
Piece of shit. Because Adam Goldberg?
I think that's his name, yeah. Dark Mage says, I thought it was a fake retractable knife. Yeah, we couldn't find one that was realistic enough, so...
Yeah, it turns out a lot of those look like fake retractable knives.
Yeah. I think we actually had one. I think we bought one just to see what it would look like, and when we got it, we were like, nope, can't use that.
Well, we had...
Or was it Marbletown we used those for?
We had two of those purchased from Marbletown. And the one that we went with actually worked because it didn't retract on the blade; it retracted to the handle.
Mm-hmm.
And the knife had a different cut. It actually felt and looked a lot better. And Mike and I ultimately broke that in about 10 minutes of fighting.
I think the one broke on the first stab.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing about that, though, is so what you don't really notice the way it was shot is I'm stabbing him with a knife that doesn't have a blade.
Yeah.
I had so many bruises.
Totally.
From just getting punched.
I'm just punching him with a knife blade, you know?
Like, I remember I told my wife, I was like, I don't think I should have bruises like this, because they were covering my entire side.
That's where I was getting it each time, yeah. Joke's on you, I had a fucking knife.
Jesus Christ. Those ice shots we shot later, didn't we?
So, yes, but we actually ended up sticking with the ones we shot the day of.
Okay, I didn't.
So that's, we did reshoot those, but we ended up sticking with the ones we shot day of because you look too clean.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas, you have, the blood smeared on your eyes there, and it just kind of...
Probably more tired looking. And yeah.
More tired looking, just absolutely exhausted, just kind of accepting death, because you were, at that point, accepting death.
Just kill me and get it over with.
And then the bye. Terrible father not committing to your promise. Not fulfilling your promise.
Real piece of shit, you know? Just a deadbeat dad, really. Emphasis on dead.
I'm not used to talking this much anymore because of this quarantine thing.
Yeah, we don't really do that.
Adam asked, did you add the lightning and the light shining through clouds on drone shots? Love it. Yeah, that was actually Brian Schwenk. He did all the visual effects on the drone shots. So, actually, this drone shot here at the end, he just made it look like it was more close to nighttime. Because that's actually shot at like noon. And then also the lightning and then the sun coming through the clouds. He did a great job with all the visual effects on this movie.
That one shot of Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Did he add light to that one corner, like to have the sun shooting through, or is the sun really shining like that?
I think he added light there, yeah. Because there's no... So a lot of things where there were... I don't want to say over... The highlights were never overblown, but they were kind of harsher. He would kind of pull those down a little bit and then add that, for lack of a better word, flare in the corner there to kind of give it some character.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the very beginning here with you guys in the room, let the stream catch up.
Yeah.
He added those kind of like flares around the windows to make them kind of blow out a little bit more than they actually were. And especially when you open up the door, he added all those light flares there too. And it actually really makes it really just makes the image a lot more interesting. Adam, we did not use any Pro Mist filters. Actually, for the flashback scenes, we used a UV filter that was covered in Vaseline. And that was trying to kind of soften the image. It didn't work as much as I wanted it to, but I thought it did work okay. In the future, I would rather do a Pro Mist rather than this idea that I tried to test out.
That was a fun
Also
day.
at the end there, big shout out to our gunman. Was it Matt Hacker, Mark Klein, and
Oh yeah, so
who's
I
the other
can
kid?
talk about them real quick. Gunman here, Matt Hacker, was our assistant director here on the left. Middle here, that's Mark Klein. He was our set photographer and really just a man of many hats on this production. He filled in for assistant camera.
Many clothes.
Many clothes.
Shut up.
So many clothes.
And then Eric Carr over here on the right, who was our AC for the Sunday shoot. And then all three of them actually had military experience, so they were just like great fits for these roles. Phew. And then the credits.
And there it is, you guys. There it is. Also, again, I need to apologize to everybody on set for the fact that we had to thank the police. But, things happen. Sometimes you spray paint the tip of an airsoft rifle in a school parking lot. You're not really thinking about that stuff.
Nope,
Sometimes.
Andrew got the cops called on us within 10 minutes of arriving to set on Sunday,
yeah.
right?
Almost immediately. Yep.
I'm just glad you guys let them know ahead of time.
Yeah,
That was a good move because I got shot. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so the cops did know that we were going to be there with assault weapons. So whenever the call came in, they were like, yep, we know that you guys are here, but we need to check it out for obvious reasons.
Let them know that we checked. Yep.
Yeah. Dark Mage says, for the flashbacks, couldn't you have done a white vignetting, feather it out, or have it blur out a little bit on the outer area going into simulated sequence? Yeah, we could have done that, but we were trying to keep... I like to kind of lean on doing things as in camera as possible, because I don't like volunteering my visual effects artists for work. I like that kind of being a last resort type of thing, and that's something I thought that we could have shot very easily in camera with the UV filter and the Vaseline, and I think it did soften the image a decent amount. It just could have maybe used more Vaseline. I don't know. Definitely,
you can always use more Vaseline.
I hate you. Definitely a pro mist filter, as Adam said. I definitely want to get my hands on one of those for that kind of stuff in the future.
If not, get your hands on more Vaseline.
So, what are some things we would do differently to make things easier?
Mike, you go first.
Yeah, I wasn't production sound. I had no responsibility for any of this sound captured on set. Everybody did a great job. Don't get me wrong. But record every single thing, like the running shots. Record all that audio, because my ass, I'm sure my wife has footage of me running in place out in the woods behind my house recording Foley. And I would have saved so much time if we would have got that on set. But record everything for me. That's my note.
And whose fault was that?
It's my fault. My fault. Because we were stressed for time. And I said, I will Foley it. I will take responsibility. And then whenever I saw how much Foley needed to be done, I got angry.
There was a lot of Foleying.
God.
It happens.
Anything else?
I don't know what else, Wes. You trying to set me up? What?
No, that was a legitimate question.
Oh, maybe get in a little bit better shape? Maybe get the 6-piece McNugget instead of the 20-piece?
Fuck all that. 20s till I die,
Andrew.
which will be way earlier than it should be. Is that 20 piece?
Is that 20 piece? Andrew, one time on set, I think it was when we were filming Binge, we all got McDonald's, and he got so happy. He was like, what you got over there? You got a 20 piece? You got a 20 piece too?
Because I wasn't the only fat piece of shit on set.
Speaking of nuggets, like I said this before, and Buddy brought it up. Andrew, I don't remember if you brought it up, but after the creek scene, I remember I was cold, tired, walking my fat ass back to the staging area. I opened the door, and there it is. A big old tray of like 100 nuggies just sitting there with sauce and just,
the Lord's nuggets.
The Lord's nuggies.
And then just like wrapped up in a towel and a sleeping bag, just eating nugs, making sure our PPs didn't fall off. Oh, man.
Funny story is I barely got any of that food.
That's what happens, and it's terrible.
Because I was, I forget, I think Mike and you were wrapped, so you went ahead with a lot of the other crew members. And, hey, Nerdy Nomicon is in the house. What is up, Robbie? How you doing? And thank you. He says, congrats on the awards. Thank you, man. Really appreciate you coming by tonight and hanging out with us for a little bit. Yeah, I ate basically after everybody else ate, and I only got like 4 nuggets or something.
I'm sorry.
Bastards.
I'm not. I nothing.
I didn't anticipate you guys killing like 200 nuggets or something like that.
You really, after that day?
Couple 1-2 fat boys. Yeah. If I could change anything, is just would have moved the shoot to June. Just a little bit warmer weather, you know. That's it. Just something that would have made it more pleasant to be in water all day. And but other than that, no, I think it turned out amazing, and I wouldn't trade how it turned out for what we went through at all. Because
Right.
yeah, it sucked, but it's honestly the best roles that I've really gotten to do were in conditions that were less than ideal.
Right. Adam
Like, I think that
is
whole
hitting the
last-
hay, guys. Thanks for stopping in, Adam. Really appreciate you
Everybody.
coming by and hanging out with us. Hopefully we can work on something together very soon. Hopefully this is all resolved and we can resume our normal lives soon, because I'm getting bored.
Yeah.
It's reopen now. I need
Yeah.
salons.
I need a haircut. I do need a haircut, but
And a real shabby piece of shit.
yeah, but hopefully we can work on something together soon. That'd be cool. Nerdy Nomicon also says, not too bad, bro. Working on this weekend's video. Hope you guys are having a fun night. What's your video about this weekend, man? And what were you saying, Andrew? I apologize.
I don't know. Nothing important. I gotta hold on while we're doing this. I signed up to do a roast battle, and apparently it's Sunday, so I gotta see who I'm battling.
Oh, yeah. Okay, get this. Andrew is doing a roast battle, right? Over Zoom. And I was like, I'm pretty sure if there's no audience, that it's just cyberbullying at that point.
It's just cyberbullying, yeah. Oh no. I'm going against my boy Avery.
Oh, no, I don't know who that is, but that's a
You know,
friend of
he's one of
yours, I
my
guess?
friends from stand up. My good buddy, actually. And I want to be the first to say, live on some sort of camera, Avery, I love you and I appreciate you, and I'm gonna fucking destroy you. I'm gonna make
live
you
stream?
cry. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think so.
I'm gonna watch. Just real quick, Pia has joined the chat. Hey, Pia, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in tonight. Adam also said, agree after the apocalypse. Nerdy Nobicon, Robbie, he says, I need to say this. Killer Be Killed was fantastic. Well shot, lit, acted, and that ending was bleak as fuck. I loved it. Thank you, man. Really
Yeah.
appreciate all those words, especially the bleak ending. Something I know a lot of people hate, but we'll live with it.
Super okay with it.
Speaking of writing something together, so Mike and I kind of wrote the story for this one together, Killer Be Killed. But Andrew started pitching an idea to me the other night that I thought was pretty interesting, and I thought that could be a potential project down the road here.
That's right. Do you want to get into that? You want to just dive into that right now?
I mean,
or?
that's up to you guys.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, why not? I had a concept. I've had it in my head for a while, and I just wasn't sure how to work through it. So I'm going to sit down and really outline it. But the gist of it is, there's these two guys, kind of like bagmen for certain crime syndicates. Like one's on the drug side, one's on the money laundering side. They meet kind of every week to do an exchange of goods. One gives drugs, one gives money. And these guys are kind of skeptical of each other at first, but because it's the same guys, it's the same drop, they start to just kind of get to know each other. They become kind of friends in a sense. And one night as they do a drop, the one guy kind of happens to, they're close to the point where they'll do the drop and they'll have a beer or so. So, one guy walks out of the bar a little after the other guy, and he notices that someone just grabs his counterpart, throws him into a car, and just peels off. So he follows him to discover that, there was kind of an execution ordered on this bagman, and he saved him. So then they've got to figure out, kind of who and the why, what's all going on here. And I'm envisioning we make it like a nice, dark, gritty kind of crime, but also like some pretty good humor thrown in. So like a dark comedy action thriller, I guess. It's going to be kind of all over the map, but in a fun way.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this idea would obviously, like, we're not like jumping in the features right now, unless basically we find a story we're passionate about and want to pursue that, but or somebody throws us a lot of money, one of the two.
Hey, either one.
So I wasn't sure if this would be like something. The idea itself seems a little bit too long for like a short film.
Sure. Yeah, I was definitely like at best 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's not necessarily something we have to do immediately, and it's not. I think you had sent something to me where you're like maybe a web series. I'm like, that's not a bad idea. They're doing like a several part story.
Yeah, because we could do
that
6-10 minute episodes and kind of make it more. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess like cliffhangery at the end of each episode.
Sure.
Real quick, Pia says I loved it, but I could kill you for the ending. Sorry, not sorry.
We understand, but we do not apologize.
Completely. Dark Mage says, I want to know more about the ending, or why they ended up in the woods.
That's the thing, bro. Nobody knows.
Do you want to dive into that, Mike, or do you want to leave it open completely for the feature version that maybe we'll make one day, maybe we won't?
Like, just why it takes place in the woods? Is that the question? Why does it take place in the woods? Or
it's private property. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean, how we came up with the idea. I just said, tie my ass to a tree and just film me trying to escape, and just hopefully it's good enough to be a short film for 5 minutes.
That is literally what he said to me that kind of spawned the idea of Kill or Be Killed. Was we were both in between projects. We had all just filmed Marbletown. And he messaged me one day and he was like, dude, just take me out, tie me to a tree, and film me trying to escape it. And then I was like, okay, but then what? And then it just went from there. We developed the story from there. Robbie says, so like Way of the Gun meets Suicide Kings kind of feel.
I don't know that I've ever seen Suicide Kings. I'll have to watch that because I want to make sure I'm not stepping on anybody's property. I like The Way of the Gun a lot as far as the way it tells its story. Because it's kind of a dark story overall, but at the same time, there's just weird humor injected into it kind of the whole way throughout. I'm envisioning not necessarily noir style, but I was thinking more like a Kiss Kiss Bang Bang style, but also not like noir. So maybe not that at all. That's fair. But like just something that's kind of dark on its face, but something that we can have a lot of fun with on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Dark Mage says, what I meant though is he left his family, then all of a sudden he's tied to a tree. Yeah, I mean, I think that he could have gotten taken on the way to the airport. He could have gotten taken after he landed. He could have gotten taken at his like hotel room, wherever he was going. There's a lot of places that he could have gotten kind of nabbed from.
Yeah, the idea there is these guys were mysteriously abducted and dropped into this war zone.
Yeah.
They don't know why. It's not super clear, but it happened, and there's only one way out. And some people are very reluctant on that, such as Mike's character. Some people kind of really clung to it.
Come up with your own conclusions on where they kind of gotten kidnapped from. Mike's character isn't exactly wearing like the work suit and tie like Andrew's character is, or Sean's character is, and he's not exactly dressed down like Jack's character at the end, the guy with the sniper.
And that's another thing too, is like the weaponry is just strewn about. It's kind of the luck of the draw, what you find, what you can come up with, what you can gather. It's because one of the comments we had was like, why would you give a dude a sniper rifle? It's like, they've all got different weapons throughout. That guy found the sniper rifle.
Nerdy Nomicon says, I was referring to, like, tonally, Way of the Gun has the mechanics and Bagman, like you meant, but Suicide Kings has the dark humor. And then he also says, if you haven't seen Suicide Kings, I recommend it. Christopher Walken is a mob boss that gets kidnapped by yuppie frat boys on poker night. that description doesn't do it justice. I feel like I didn't know what Suicide Kings was until you described it right now.
Well, I was going to say,
I'm pretty
is that
sure I have seen it.
That the sometimes you got to remind people you're a lion speech? Is that where that comes from Christopher Walken? Where he's talking about, like, the lion knows who he is, but the hyenas, they think they can laugh, but sometimes you got to remind them that you're a lion. Is that from Suicide Kings?
I don't remember, but...
If it is, I haven't seen that whole thing.
There's a guy tied to a chair for the large portion of that movie. Am I correct? It'll be a while, so we can talk until he answers. We're all just sitting here waiting for him to answer.
Yeah, but while we're waiting for him to answer, Dark Mage said, it felt like a Saw moment when they ended up in the bathroom. I had no idea how they got there. Yeah, exactly. And granted, we didn't have the 90 minutes to dive into all of that where, how it transpired. Because it's a short. You kind of get... I always like the shorts where you just pick up somewhere and you end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't need to give you the whole story. We just want to bring you along for the ride. And is it important how they got there? Sure. Did you need to know in this short? Not necessarily. I hope it didn't stop anybody from enjoying it because we didn't tell you, but I didn't think it was a super part of it.
And then Nerdy Mamacon says, yes, Walken is tied to the chair. And I have seen that movie. I just don't remember it very well because I watched it maybe in my teens. And then I've seen pieces of it sporadically throughout the year, but I don't remember much at all.
Okay. And then Nerdy Amakan says thinks that speech is from King in New York, maybe. It's Walken, though, right? Walken does that? Who the fuck knows? Not me. I'm guessing. Shots in the dark right now.
Dark Mage also says, I think a feature film would definitely be great eventually. We agree. So maybe if enough people watch it, we can convince somebody to give us some money to make the version we want to make. But we're not going to bank on it. So, like, if you guys have seen, eventually, over the next I know Mike's going to hate me for saying this, but 2 to 3 years, after the next 2 to 3 years, we want to move back into doing features and having actual budgets for those features. One of the ones that we were looking at doing was our short film Marbletown. We already have an adapted version of that short film into a feature version, but then there's also Kill or Be Killed. But obviously, like, if you look at performance, like numbers, like Kill or Be Killed just came out, whereas Marbletown has built a pretty big audience and has 650,000 views. So one is a lot more likely to be greenlit as a feature right now than the other. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Pia says we should start a GoFundMe for Kill or Be Killed. We've actually done a Kickstarter in the past, and it was successful for our second feature film, Binge. The one thing I don't want to get in the habit of is, like, making it a habit to ask people for money that isn't, like, in this for the business side of things. Like, obviously, whenever we make a feature, we want to have a business partner who understands the risks, who understands that they're putting up a portion of the budget and can ultimately help us and guide us in getting distribution, getting the movie out to a wide audience. And with GoFundMe and Kickstarter and stuff like that, you're only kind of, unless you go viral, you're only really taking, $20 here and there from friends and family, and you don't have that end puzzle piece figured out. You don't know what your audience is going to be. You don't have distribution figured out. So ultimately, like, if we work with a partner, we want to have that audience already figured out before we go into production. Catching up back here with the chat. Dark Mage says, "What about local sponsorships after all this clears up?" That's also something that we can look into, and it's also something that I want to look into for our short films, not just future features. Is like now that we're kind of entering, going back to that, entering thinking art 2.0, right? The thing I want to do is make bigger budget things that's constantly pushing the envelope further and further with each production, each short, and we're gonna have to get money somewhere. And one of the things I wanted to do was reach out to companies and try to get sponsorships and try to work with companies to try to take us to that next level. And I think that there's companies out there that would see that what we've done by ourselves with absolutely no money, and they would be comfortable with, taking this trip with us. Nerdynomicon also says, "When are you going to kill me in a film?" I mean, seriously, bro. Next horror thing we can do. We can try to figure that out. Dark Mage says, "Even episodic over a year would probably work out too, I think." Yeah, it could work out too. And Pia says, "You need to start networking with the right people, throw your shorts in their faces." That's the goal. That's the plan. I mean, I've kind of worked myself to death over the past, when did we do Marbletown? 2016?
Yeah.
I've been pretty much working on shorts pretty much non-stop since Marbletown. Well, I would say probably after the duel. Because I think we took some time off, shot the duel. But these last couple of years, regardless, I've been basically working on shorts non-stop and haven't really gotten to be able to go meet a lot of other filmmakers unless I was on set with them. So that's part of what I want to do over the course of the next couple of years is really meet and network with people about the business aspect of filmmaking and really try to get things, kind of get the ball rolling for that stuff. P also says, "Don't spend too much of your life on YouTube." I really don't spend that much. I spend most of my time on YouTube while I'm at work. Which is a funny thing to say, but it's true. Unless I'm filming or editing a video, which obviously that's a little different.
I think at this point you just got to wait till whatever's going on with the virus gets over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have
this could theoretically change the entire industry.
I don't have much confidence in getting anything done for a feature this year. Nor did I ever really think that was a possibility. I should say that as well. But I did want to, start on the next level. Dark Mage says, VidCon would probably be a good thing with that. I know a YouTuber ended up meeting a Hollywood guy that wanted to do a doc on him, McJuggernuggets, if you've ever heard of him. Never did hear of him, no. I like the name, though. But I've actually thought about going to VidCon, but those tickets can be kind of pricey.
So maybe that's something we could take some time and just try to figure out to do 1 year. Just go set up a booth, just talk to people, press the flush a little bit, I don't know. That's an idea.
Like Pied Piper.
Yeah, exactly.
Pia says, contact people in film schools. They have a lot of contacts, and right now they have a lot of time. Yeah, film schools are good for people that are still learning, especially for people that want to gain experience. But I don't know if they would really be what we're looking for at this point, because right now we want to look for people that do this for a living that can kind of help any little expertise, any little piece of knowledge that they can transfer onto us to help us kind of find our footing on our path is kind of like what we're looking for right now. Dark Mage says this year is just one big bundle of a mess, and I fully agree with that. It's
2020's our year.
It's not over yet.
I know.
We don't know that, you know.
Nerdynomicon also says, last thing, and then I should get back to work. I'm still working on Sandpires. It will still be years before we're ready to make it, but I'd love to in some way work with you on that. Yeah, man, let me know whenever you're finished with it. I'd love to read it. Even if only as cameos or something. Dark Mage also says, oh man, definitely check him out. Psycho series and My Virtual Escape is what he's done. It's a kid whose dad destroys his game consoles. Pia brings up a good point here. Teachers often have contacts outside of school that could be valuable for you. That is very true. She says,
oh man, do we know any guys who went to film school who might have any contacts with their old professors? Do we? Do we? Hey,
both,
Mike, do we?
Both Mike and I went to film school in some capacity. I didn't technically go to film school, but I went to a school for film.
I did 2.5 years for political science. That's got to be beneficial somehow.
Real quick, Nerdynomicon, Robbie, he's heading out. Thank you so much for stopping in, man. Really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. I know everybody's kind of getting antsy with the not being able to really do anything, so we really appreciate you helping us out, really. Helping us talk to somebody. This is my only social interaction. It's killing me.
For real.
But thank you, man. Thanks for checking the short out. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Go back to the chat here. Dark Mage says, I just watch YouTube for tips and tricks, camera angles, FX, and all that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, even though I went to school for film studies. It was not anything production related. So I learned a lot of the theory behind film and had to write a lot of essays and write my fair share of film criticism. But I've learned the most about filmmaking from watching YouTube videos and just doing it myself over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Mike, you were going to say something, and I feel like I went off on a long rant.
Nah, I just, I went to Full Sail University. And because I worked there, I'm refrained from saying anything negative about it. But I loved my time there. I just feel like, I spent $72,000 on a long vacation to learn how to make movies. But that being said, I don't know. It paid off in the end. Well, it did until the virus hit.
Yeah, virus has really screwed a lot of things. Did you get your unemployment to work, by the way, finally?
I never, because honestly, like, Pennsylvania's getting ready to open on the 8th.
I don't know if they actually will. You guys might over there.
Yeah. Where I live,
like,
there's enough work, believe it or not, film work in my little community that if they open up and if they allow certain things, I can get back to work right away. But
dude, you got to just do it for these next 2 weeks, even if it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. See if it gets it to work. I'm just worried by the time it goes through. It's like a lot of people still haven't gotten their stuff. It's a big mess.
Phil said it's working now.
No, I mean just getting it, just getting the money.
It should be direct deposit, like kind of like a paycheck, right?
Yeah, I
every
have no
2
idea.
weeks. Like
No
every
idea.
Thursday or every other Thursday. I don't know. I've never been on unemployment in my life, so I have no idea.
Not sure.
No, film school is a good. I don't regret anything about going to Full Sail. I just tell people that if you're going to go to film school, maybe just go to a community college first, and then just go out to Los Angeles or Atlanta, go to a film hub, and just start working.
Susan and I argue about this all the time, but she says that I shouldn't. One of my biggest regrets is kind of not pursuing film in some capacity outside of a side job sooner than I've had, and kind of wasting the last 6 years of my life at one company. And she gets on me all the time because I I talk about how much I regret it.
There's always right now. There's always this time.
That's a conversation for another time, because I don't want to
Absolutely.
I don't want to anger myself.
Well, on that note, yeah, I mean, why don't we go ahead and wrap up? We can go for 2 hours.
Sounds
I remember,
good.
yeah, man, that's what I did the end of 2019.
Oh yeah.
My job, they were splitting up. I was pissed off, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take sound gigs for an entire week, and then just, feel bad. I feel like a dick. I don't regret it, but it's just like one of those things where it's like I knew deep down I was not going to be able to just quit and take that jump because I was too scared.
So
I almost had to just force my hand and say, you know what? I have a week lined up. I'm going away. Bye. And then
I wonder if I'm wondering if that's what I'll ultimately have to do, but I don't know what I'm going to do right now, because like I have my future plans kind of set for so long, and now this virus has just kind of completely upended everything, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to move in that direction any longer. So
I think there's going to be there because there's already talk, like especially like the DMV area, like with all the big Hollywood productions that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a backlog of shit that's just like bottlenecking. So there's going to be an explosion of work. It's just dealing with the virus and seeing, if there's going to be any more outbreaks. And
yeah, I'm really worried about once everything goes back to normal for a month or two or whatever, that we're going to see a really bad second wave of this.
And if that happens, we're just going to start making movies with Zoom.
Maybe.
Zoomies. Make some zoomies.
In the chat, Dark Mage says, yeah, I regret not getting into all this sooner. I'm 30 now as of just a few days ago. Happy birthday then, man. And I got fully into this in 2018. I guess we kind of got into this 2011?
You graduated, what, August 2011?
No, I graduated in May 2012, I guess.
Yeah, so we started production on Blind Circumstance that summer, fall. I want to say it's either August or September of 2012.
Mm-hmm. But we didn't really, I mean, I don't know what you would define as, like, seriously into it. I did 48 Hour. And what was that, 2018? 2017?
Yeah.
2017?
Something like that.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah. Feels like forever ago.
I know.
Because, what we did, Stuffed and Dangerous, Hot Pursuit.
Dilemma.
The Click, Date, Repeat.
48 Hour, 48. Gotcha.
And Out of My League. Yeah. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019.
Worst case, if we ever get back into quarantine, we just need to force ourselves to use that time to pre-pro the shit. Like have 4 projects pre-pro'd, scripts written, scripts sent out to cast, and then as soon as this stuff opens back up, just go ham.
Yeah. Pia, real quick, Pia is leaving. Thanks for stopping by, Pia. Really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for a little bit. Hopefully you're safe. Going back to... Oh, yeah. I was talking to Mike about this today. I wish I had kind of used this quarantine to be a little bit more productive, but then I realized I'm also still technically working 40 hours a week. doesn't feel like it because I'm in my home.
Yeah, I haven't worked in 4 weeks and I haven't done shit, so don't feel so.
Yeah. Don't. I think because there was actually an article I read about that being like, you don't necessarily have to have your shit together right now, man. It's like,
but it's. Yeah. I think I wrote like 2 or 3 jokes, but that's not much. But I want to sit down and go through all of my material and kind of rework it again. I want to get a good outline for that feature so I can bounce it to you guys and we can rough book that.
Yeah, start on that, dude. I want to start getting stuff. That sounded like such a good idea. It actually got me excited to brainstorm again. Because sometimes... Go ahead.
Well, as I say, I've got other ideas with it as far as how it plays out a little bit more. There are some holes that will need filled.
Yeah.
So I want this to be an all of us thing.
One of the things,
my baby. I want it to be 3 men and a baby,
One of the things that happens with me is I'll come up with an idea and I'll really like it for a day or two. And after that day or two, it'll just kind of wear off. I won't like it as much. And then, so it's always a challenge for me to kind of find that idea that kind of feels special and makes me want to actually do it. And the one idea that has kind of been that way for me for a long time has been the short film that I wrote maybe in 2016, 2017, I don't even remember now, but it's called Storm Chasers, and it would require the most visual effects that we have ever done, and I don't think that we're quite at that level. That might be Thinking Art 3.0, but I'm not ruling it out, because that's like my big passion project, but I don't know when it's going to come to fruition.
We'll see. Yeah, there's no real timetable on this. It's the only thing is that we just gotta do what we can.
But I got to be successful by the time I'm 31, or else I might off myself.
Oh fuck! That is recent.
That's recent.
I don't know. I thought that, and then I hit 33, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm still a fucking child. So I guess timetables aren't really everything.
I really try not to think about that stuff too much, and I just try to do what I can, right? But then if you look at certain directors and certain filmmakers that have made stuff later in life, like Ridley Scott didn't make Alien until he was 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that got a whole bunch of spin-offs and sequels and whatnot.
And he's had a 50-year career. How old is he?
123.
He is 82.
Edwin Coaster Deakins didn't gain... Who's Deakins?
Roger Deakins, bitch.
Hey, Ed's in the house.
I have no idea who that is.
Deakins didn't gain any traction until 44. This is true.
How long was Ed just sitting there quiet, waiting to drop a deep bomb?
Wait, I think it's... Did Deakins ever gain any traction?
You motherfucker. Are you trying to get shot right now?
No, I always do
I thought we were bedding down. We're just gearing right back up now, you son of a bitch.
Ed was actually one of our big winners for our poster canvas giveaway. So congratulations, Ed. I will let you know whenever we get those, and they are in the mail your way. I actually don't know if I even asked you for your address. I may have.
Go ahead. Put it in the live chat right now, Ed.
And your social security number? Man.
Yeah, fellas, I think...
So Andrew wants to go. He's ruining the party for everybody else.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were all winding down here.
So Ed's address is actually 123 Roger Deakins Avenue. That's crazy.
That is helpful, isn't it?
So with Andrew wanting to go, I guess we'll end this thing.
Put it on me. Sure. I'll be the whipping boy for this.
I've been yawning since we started, so it's fine.
Yeah, this actually is my only social interaction for years, so I don't know. This is all I got. Otherwise, I sit at my kitchen island where my work computer is set up, and I talk to myself about how much I hate my job for 8 hours a day. And so
Nice.
I'm my
we'll have
own
to do
social
something
interaction.
this weekend. We can just talk about movies,
We'll just chat. We'll
I'm gonna
talk.
watch
It's fine.
In the Valley of Allah this weekend.
All right.
I've never seen it before, but Susan got it on Blu-ray a long time ago, just as like a random pickup, and so I figured, hey, we've never seen this movie, so why don't we give it a shot? That being said, thank you everyone for coming in. Ed, Dark Mage, Pia, Nerdy Nomicon, Adam. I think that's all I can remember off the top of my head. If I missed anybody else,
DJ popped in.
DJ Talks was in the house. Thank you all for spending some time with us, talking a little bit about Killer Be Killed. Dark Mage says, have a good night, guys. Thank you all. Thanks for all you guys do. Was a pleasure talking with you all. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate it. I'm Wesley Malott.
I'm Andrew Glessner.
And I'm Michael Mountain.
And we'll probably see you again next week because we're still shut down. So
We bored.
thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Hey, guys.